The eye color is the color of credibility, trust, and connection. So if you can find your eye color and wear it, it will make a really big difference, especially when you're meeting somebody for the first time.
You're listening to color and style expert Danielle Fuhrman, founder of the image consulting business Reflections of You. Whether you meet clients in person, speak from the stage, or simply want the confidence that comes from knowing you look your best, you're going to enjoy this episode, because Danielle is today's guest on Solopreneur Success.
Welcome to the Solopreneur Success Podcast, where successful business owners gather to share true stories and sound advice to help you start and grow your own solopreneur business. Come soar with us and design the life you love. Now, here's your host, Steve Combs.
Well, hello, Solopreneurs. Today we're having a conversation with Danielle Fuhrman, a color and style expert, and I invited Danielle onto the show today because the image you project to your customers makes a difference, and she'll explain why in just a minute. But Danielle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Steve. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited to be here with you and your listeners.
I'm excited to have you on, and I thought the best way to start this conversation is let's start at the most basic level. Why does color even matter for people in business or even in life in general? What's the big deal about color?
Well, color is important. I mean, there's a lot of different elements that are important, but color is important because if you're wearing colors that are congruent with you or authentic to your coloring, then people are going to relate to you in a very different way than if you're wearing something that is not your color family. Like, for instance, this is one of my big pet peeves is wearing black. Because black can put invisible walls up between you and the person that you're talking to if it's a color that you can't wear. There aren't a lot of people that can wear it. If you have black hair, yes, it's definitely easier to wear it. But when you're wearing a color that represents you, there's just more of a connection and credibility that happens.
That's interesting. So to find that color, though, how do you know what your color is? I guess that's kind of what you do, right?
That's what I do. That's why they need to contact me. No, if you really look at your skin tones, your eye color and your hair color and can get into that range, that's kind of where I start with everything. So the eye color is the color of credibility, trust, and connection. So if you can find your eye color and wear it, it will make a really big difference, especially when you're meeting somebody for the first time.
Now, you don't actually call yourself, I mean, some people might, but you don't really call yourself a color stylist, but you call yourself a color and style expert, which is a little bit different. Why the difference there? I'm just curious.
It's, I go back and forth between image consultant, color and style expert, because I do color and I do style. And image consulting kind of covers all of it, but I'm not just a stylist. A stylist, for me, is more just working with the style of clothes that work. And sometimes they talk about color, but it's really more about the clothes and it's not about the color. What
led you down this road to become an expert in this area? And how did you end up building a business around this entire concept? What led you there?
I had my colors done over 30 years ago. And it made such a profound difference in the way that people reacted to me that I knew one day that I would want to go back and get trained in this field of image consulting. And when I was going through my divorce, that was the time that I jumped into a new career.
Gotcha. So, anytime you start a business, there's always challenges. What did you find that was difficult for you getting started in this kind of a business? Or what were your challenges?
Yeah, I think some of the challenges is that you're not quite sure where to start, like how to, do you do a website, a landing page, all those different things. And because of my business, a website is important. But sometimes what you just need to do is get on the phone and start just talking to people to get clients in. I think we take on way too much at the beginning instead of really finding out the things that are going to propel you into the next phase in a successful way.
Well, that's interesting you say about getting on the phone. Some people are terrified of the phone. They don't want to call anybody. They say just come to my website and that's it. So did you make cold calls, or who did you actually call? How did that work?
Well, when I was going through school, I was calling people all the time because I had to find clients or put somebody to, I'll say, be a volunteer so I could practice. So it started off that way. And then once I got done with school, I was calling on my friends, I just completed my course. Do you want to come and, have your colors done, or do you want to work with your style or go through your closet? And so that's how it started. And then I got referrals from them.
Gotcha. So you kind of bootstrapped your business with, those you're in your personal network, those you already built relationships with them. So It wasn't like you're cold calling people, but they knew who you were. And so you had some kind of relationship with them, which I think is very important. And took that to kind of take it from the ground up and say, look, let me show you what I can do. And then took that on to the next level, it sounds like.
Exactly. And I want to say 30 years ago, there wasn't the social media that there is right now. So I would say it's easier now to, get onto Facebook or do LinkedIn or different platforms to help you with your business. But it wasn't as big then. And I've never been much of a techie. So I probably was happier then than I am. No, I don't mind doing the Facebook and LinkedIn. It's just not, it hasn't always been my favorite.
So how do you build relationships with people today? Is it mostly through word of mouth referrals, or how do you connect with new people to grow your business at this point?
I do networking. I go to different networking markets or different networking meetings. I'm actually in one group that is just for speakers. I have a lot of different Facebook groups that I'm part of. I'm also a part of another platform called Talk Fusion, which is an video email platform. So I've been using that a lot. And word of mouth, having people refer people, their friends or family or clients to me.
Sure. And of course, you're on a podcast today. So this is a way to reach a new audience. And you mentioned you have a speakers group. Do you do public speaking as well? Is that how you get in front of people also?
I do. This particular group, I guess, I'm going to be speaking to her group next month. And so, yes, I am getting in front of people speaking, which I enjoy doing. And, being that I have my book is number one, I promote that and I do podcasts. And, there's many different venues out there getting onto. I was supposed to actually do a Facebook Live today after I was done, but it just got canceled. But we're creating something around jewelry.
Interesting. So is that the color? Is it style? Is it both? I mean, how does that work?
My friend makes the jewelry, so we have a conversation about color and how does that relate to the person and texture, size, and shapes of them. That's fascinating because you can see such a variety, whether it's earrings or necklaces or regular finger rings or whatever you're wearing in jewelry. That's interesting that you're pulling that into not just clothes, but the whole thing. And I know in your book, I've read it, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but it talks about how you can add accessories and help draw out the right colors. I think that's really fascinating. But let's say if somebody comes to you, Danielle, and says, I need to find some help in finding my right color. I want to make the most of this. When somebody comes to you, what does a typical process look like? Let's say they reach out to you and say, hey, Danielle, can you help me? What happens next? Well, usually I will take them through a questionnaire and ask them a lot of questions like, what's their lifestyle like? Why are they reaching out to me now? Is something important coming up? Like, are they going into a business meeting? Are they getting onto a podcast? Are they going out and interviewing for a job, or are they getting on the stage? So it depends on what it is that they're looking for. And then when I know what it is that they would like to really kind of create for themselves, then we can talk more about color and style of clothes. And I can work long distance, but when you work, I want to say in person, then I can help them go through their closet as well. That was almost my next question. It's like, usually people think of stylists as somebody you would work, in person with. But you do offer some services remotely, it sounds like. So what's different there between an in-person consultation or working with you remotely? What are the limitations? Well, I want to say the limitations a little bit are that when you're looking at somebody, if the lighting isn't good on like if we were doing a Zoom call like what we're doing right now and the lighting's not good, it's hard to really see the color. So I will have them send me a really good photograph of themselves before we start. I can put their whole palette together and send it back to them so that when we actually start talking, then they have everything in front of them that they need. I've worked with clients going through their closet. They'll pull things out and they'll, show me, what do you think of this? And so we'll talk about it. And always it's better to work in person, but that's not always possible. So
for our listeners, I just want to point out, this is something you're listening to, but Danielle and I were looking at each other long distance. You're in California, right?
I am in California.
I'm up in New Hampshire. And so we're long distance, but since the first time we talked a couple of weeks ago, we had like a pre-interview call, and Danielle pointed out a couple of things to me. One of those being that my eye color is blue, and the blue draws it out. So today I'm wearing a blue shirt.
I know, it looks really nice. Good job.
And something else that she brought up just a minute ago is the lighting, and something that I've done for myself, and I've noticed a big difference just in the video recording, even though this podcast is going out in audio format. I actually have high definition LED lighting, which is, like full spectrum lighting on both sides of me. And it makes a big difference in, picking up the color and anything you're videoing. So if you're doing some kind of video in your business, look for HD lighting. It definitely makes a difference. I've noticed a huge difference personally. I have the curtains open, but you can't count on the sunlight coming in. They're just the right way without large shadows taking over. So the HD lighting helps. I think Danielle would attest to that today.
Absolutely. And there's like so many different kinds of lighting. There's the lights that are circles. I just lost the name of it. When it comes, I'll let you know, but it's amazing. And they work really well. They're great they use them for makeup, and they use it for just lighting in general for such things as this.
Oh, that's great. So you typically meet clients in person, and sometimes you work with them remotely. But let me ask you this question. For many solopreneurs listening to this podcast, they're going to be spending most of their day in front of a computer. They may rarely meet clients like you do in person. So how does color help them? And it's a little bit of a leading question, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Well, I think that for me personally, even though I may not be seeing anybody all day long, I always wear my colors just because I feel better. Even when I go to the gym, I wear my colors. It's just something that I feel more comfortable. And even though I don't have makeup on when I go to the gym and stuff, at least I still look a little bit better, wearing my colors instead of wearing black all the time. I think it just makes you feel better in the long run. Even once you know what your color recipe is or your color palette, then you can incorporate that into walls, into your office as well, or furniture. So you can take parts of the colors that you have on your palette and create, a wall that makes you feel better, or, just having artwork around you, or a chair.
That's good. Well, okay, I guess here's the direction I'm kind of leading towards, is because colors are so important, as you mentioned. What about for your business presence? For example, the colors on your website, the colors in your logo, or the colors that you might use to present your materials on a PDF or whatever you're providing. Do you do consultation as far as how to put the right colors into something for a purpose also? Is that something you do, or is that something that's outside of that scope?
I can help a little bit, but I would probably refer somebody on more to a graphic designer to do things like that. But I think once you have your colors done, if you haven't done your branding yet, it's a great way to incorporate your colors into your branding. I've met quite a few people that have already done their branding, and their colors are very different than their branding colors. And then they say, well, I need to wear these colors because they're my brand, but they don't look good on them. So for me, it'd be then change your branding colors so that you actually look good in them if you're going to wear them.
That's a great pointer. And so let me just reiterate, if you're going to have a brand and you're going to be wearing those colors, serve you well to make sure that they match your skin tone, your eye color, your hair. And we're going to talk about how you can determine some of that here in just a minute. But I wanted to point something else out here. You're a color and style expert, and I think we've talked mostly about color today, but how does style play into that role?
Well, style is really important because the clothes need to fit your body. And I have gone into meetings or workshops and stuff, and I've seen men and women wearing jackets that are way too big, like the sleeve length is way too long, the sleeve is too big. If they had the sleeve length correct and the width of the arm correct, they could lose 10 pounds just like that, just looking so much better. So the fit of a garment is really important. I can't even stress that enough. And also the texture of garments can be very important too, because if you have somebody, let's say, that has really shiny hair and maybe their skin is a little shiny, they're not going to wear something that has a lot of texture in it. They're going to wear something that might be smoother or a material that has a little bit of shine to it instead of something that is really heavy textured.
That's interesting. So I would have thought maybe the opposite, that because if my hair was shiny and my face is shiny, that I might want to have something to offset that. But you're saying it's better to kind of coordinate together.
Well, I would say so. So this is a really good example. If there's a person that has really bad, let's say, acne, and if they did what you were talking about, what it would do, like if they were wearing something really shiny, what it would do is it would accent the acne instead of kind of camouflaging it a bit by wearing something that's a little more textured, because it's not going to bring all the attention to their face. It's going to, you'll have an overall feeling for the texture and not just shining on your face.
Very interesting. I would have loved to hear that in my teen years, to tell you. So listeners, if you have teenagers at home, they're struggling with acne, point that tip out. That's a great tip. I never heard that before. That's really awesome. Danielle, so with your business, I don't know what you're doing right now as far as what you're moving forward towards, but what's next for you in your business? What's the next big thing?
Well, one of the things that I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I want to create some kind of retreat where we either go somewhere or maybe even on a cruise, because I love to travel and I'll travel anywhere to go be with a client if they want to pay me to do that. But I just think it would be a lot of fun. It's a great way to be in a relaxed atmosphere and have fun and learn something. Maybe a retreat. My friend and I, a colleague, were talking about doing something potentially like going to Italy or something like that, which would be so much fun. And the shopping there would be amazing.
It would be. Like go to Milan and have your course there and then go shopping together and
Exactly.
Here's the right style and color. That would be really fun. I agree.
It would be.
Well, Danielle,
I'll let you know when we're going.
you do that. And we'd love to let our listeners know about that. So this has been great, but I kept mentioning about a book that you have, and I just want to mention, I've actually read this. It's called Is Color Sabotaging You or Supporting You? And you give that away free on your website. I certainly want to recommend that to anybody who says, this is, something that I can really take advantage of. And in truth, it is something you can take advantage of, and you should. So where do people find that book? How do they get a hold of that?
You can go to colortipsforsuccess.com. And that will take you to my website, and you can download the book for free there. And you can even go to it by getting there by my name, but it's a little harder to spell. But it's Danielle Fuhrman, and how you spell my last name is Fuhrman.
Great. And I'll put this in the show notes. So if you're listening while you're driving or something like that, you're busy right now, that's okay. Just jump back and look at the show notes, and we'll have the links in there for you. And I'll tell you, like I said, I've read the book. You can read it in a single setting. It's not huge, so it won't take you a week to read through, but it's very helpful in explaining the basics of color and how to select your best colors. And do yourself a favor, grab Danielle's book and read it. And then if they say, this is great, and I'd like to perhaps take it to the next level, how would somebody establish a relationship with you, Danielle? How would they get in touch with you?
So if you're interested in maybe doing a strategy session with me and just to find out more, you can go to info@daniellefuhrman.com, and that will, you can shoot me an email and I will get back to you to set up a call.
Awesome. That's really generous. So listen, guys, free consultation with a color expert. And this is not something that you'll find everywhere you go. This is someone who can actually help you. And she's already helped me. Just the pre-interview call we had a couple of weeks ago, just talking in general, chatting, and I've already gotten great tips that have helped me personally. So definitely take advantage of this. Get her free book. Reach out to her and take advantage of the free consultation. I do recommend read the book first. That way you're kind of established and you can make the most of your time with Danielle, because her time's valuable. But I also want to thank you, Danielle, for being such a great resource for our audience.
Yeah, no problem. I love it.
Folks, look at the show notes. Again, the conversation's been about color and style, and you can get that free book at colortipsforsuccess.com. Doesn't cost you a cent. And you can get a free consultation by emailing Danielle at info@daniellefuhrman.com. Again, those will be in the show notes. Everybody, have a great week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Solopreneur Success Podcast. We hope you discovered valuable advice on how to start and grow your own successful solopreneur business. Come soar with us by joining our community at startgrowsoar.com. Again, that's startgrowsoar.com. We look forward to seeing you there.
Hey everybody, Steve Combs here again. Just wanted to make sure you know exactly where to find the show notes. Those can be found at startgrowsoar.com/005. And don't miss next week's episode. I have my good friend Mike Klassen coming on. We're going to talk about doing voiceover, a lot of great tips for voice, really nail him with a bunch of great questions for my sake as well as yours. And I'm looking forward to sharing that episode with you. In the meanwhile, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast player, whether it's iTunes, soon to be Apple Podcasts, as you've probably heard if you use that. Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify. You can find this show on pretty much any podcast player you like. Just make sure you give it a subscribe and a like if you would. Give me a 5-star rating if you love the show. I'd sure appreciate it. In the meanwhile, have a great week.